Glenna, whenever you're ready.
We're live now.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. It's August 22nd, 2023, and I want to call to order the County Employee Retirement System Finance Committee regular meeting. And with that, we'll open with our legal public statement. Mr. Bronco.
Thank you. This is a regular meeting of the County Employees Retirement Systems Finance Committee. This meeting is being broadcast via video teleconference pursuant to KRS 61826 and may be viewed by the public at the Kentucky Public Pension Authority offices located at 1260 Louisville Road in Frankfort, Kentucky. It is also being broadcast to the public via Facebook. If you are speaking and are not appearing by video, please identify yourself before talking. In the event the video or audio broadcast is interrupted, we will attempt to reestablish a connection. If the connection cannot be reestablished within 30 minutes, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled to a later date.
Thank you. Ms. Park, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. O'Mara.
Here.
Mr. Cheatham.
Here.
And Mr. Fulkerson.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, sir. We do have one public comment. It comes from a Coleman Dallas Fox. He states, questions for the board members. Where does the $40 go that is taken out of my check each month because I failed to fill out the living well promise that KPPA failed to explain to me about?
Thank you. We appreciate the comment. I think I'll refer that to the Retiree Health Plan Committee, and there will be a response sent to Mr. Cox. Next are approval of minutes. They're included in the board book. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And this is for, thank you. This is for the May 30th, 2023. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Those are approved. Next on the agenda is fiscal year financial reports. Mr. Lamb, would you want to walk us through those, please? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, thank you. This first statement is the combining statement of fiduciary net position for pensions. And near the bottom of this page, you'll see that the 2023 net position ended up at $11.8 billion, which is up 9.27% from the prior year amount of 10.799. This $1 billion increase is driven by the 9.97% or $1 billion increase in total investments. With the biggest driver within that is the public equities investment asset class, which is up 20.86%, or also $1 billion from the prior year. And that's elaborated on a little bit more in footnote 4. This $1 billion increase is also reflected on the statement of changes. If you want to page down, and near the bottom of page 6, you can see that $1 billion in the third column over. And that compared to the $805 million decrease last year is a $1.8 billion positive difference, most of which is attributable to the net appreciation in the fair market value of investments. Also described a little bit more in note 4, and that's a positive $856 million in fiscal year 23 and was a negative $861 million in fiscal year 22. Those are the comments I have on those two statements. I can move to the insurance ones. Thank you. So very similar to pensions, the net position for insurance is $4.897 billion, and that's up 9.2% or $413 million from the prior year amount of 4.48. This increase is also primarily driven by the increase in public equities investment asset class, which is up 20.38%, and elaborated a little bit more in note 5. This $413 million increase is also reflected on the statement of changes near the bottom of page 8. And compared to the $264 million decrease in the prior year, this is a $677 million swing. And again, most of which is attributable to the net appreciation in the fair market value investments, which were positive $357 million in fiscal year 23, and that was negative $326 million in fiscal year 22. That is also elaborated a little bit more in note 5. Those are the financial statements. As you know, this is our year end. These are unaudited at this point. We are going through reviewing them, as well as having our externals doing significant test work on all of the balances on those line items in preparation for the issuance of our ACFR later this calendar year.
Do we have any questions on those 4 statements? Mike, if you could talk about cash deposits for just a moment.
Yes, Katie, if you want to bounce back up to page 5, you'll see that our cash balance in the fiscal year 23 plan is $924 million. That's a little bit higher than last year. And earlier this year, we did have an audit report that challenged my group to investigate the most optimal balance in each plan. That is still underway to determine what should be in these plans and what should be maintained on a month-to-month basis. Traditionally, it's been around $500,000 per plan, but that was just an arbitrary amount that we've tried to maintain. Near the end of this year, we did not send more money back up to Mellon for investments. So we've lost a little bit of opportunity investing that money that's there in the cash deposits line item. However, I will say that we have converted all of our Chase accounts to hard-earned interest accounts. So these balances are earning interest while they're at Chase. And the likelihood that these would be invested in anything other than overnight repos at Mellon that's probably where they would have been anyway. However, we're going to look at those and try to get those back down to reasonable amounts and determine what the most optimal amount is to maintain in the JP Morgan Chase accounts.
Thank you.
Any other questions on those 4 statements?
I think we're good.
Awesome. So here's the contribution reports for pension. And that net contribution line you'll see is 68.4 positive for the non-haz plan and 75.8 positive for the hazardous plan. Both plans had an increase in inflows from all areas, most notably the employer pay credit and employer contribution. So if you add those 2 together, you're going to get 68.6 million versus 649 for the C non-hazardous plan. That's a $37.6 million increase. And for the hazardous plan, you had 288.1 million versus 238 million for an increase of 49.3. The increase for the non-hazardous plan is being driven by higher employee salaries year to year, which are up 106 million. And the increase for the C hazardous plan is also due to higher salaries, but only 6 million. But more importantly, that is due to rates going from 42.81% versus 35.6% in the prior year. There was a significant increase in unrealized gains for both plans, 1.6 billion for the non-haz and 570 million for the hazardous plan. This allowed for an overall positive change in net position for the current period of 705.7 million and 295 million, respectively. That bottom chart, as you guys are well aware, this is the cash flow without the investment activity, and the non-haz plan would not have covered the outflows of benefits and refunds and administrative expenses by $109.6 million. However, the HAS plan would have had a positive cash flow of $13.1 million without the investment activity. Questions on that contribution report for the pensions? Hearing none, the next statement is the insurance one, contribution report. And very similar, we have a positive net contribution of 66.5 for the non-hazardous. However, the hazardous had a negative 10.5 million net contribution. Let's see. That was due to lower employer contributions. So both insurance plans have much higher net investment income as well as unrealized gains. And the lower employer contributions year over year is due to a decrease in the rates for both plans. For fiscal year 2023, the non-HAS rate was 3.39% versus 4.17%. And for the CHAS, the rates were 6.78% versus 8.73% in the prior year. And the chart at the bottom indicates that without the investment activity, the net cash would only be positive $500,000 for the non-hazardous plan and negative $42.6 million for the hazardous plan. So investments was a good year. You'll hear more about that in upcoming meetings, I'm sure. And that's what I have on the contribution statements.
Any questions on those? Hearing none, we go to the administrative budget.
Yeah, so I'm going to break this down by category first. So this first category is staff, and there's a subtotal for staff. And we were 9.25% or $3.4 million under budget. And we spent 3.16% or $1 million more than the prior year. There is a large swing in the employer paid retirement amount, or a large amount under budget of 2.3. I think we just over budgeted there. I think we used a rate that was a little bit higher than what the budget instructions kind of asked us to do. So that accounts for most of that swing in the employer paid retirement amount. Our salaries and wages were under by $568,000. And there was one individual line item that was over budget, and that was by $98,000, and that's the employer paid sick leave. We've talked about that each quarter. It's basically when one of our employees retires and there's a sick leave balance that is charged to the employer of that employee that goes into the retirement calculation. For the legal and auditing services subcategory, we were 5.34% or $63,000 under budget, and we did spend 9.77% less than the prior year. Our auditing line item was under budget by $90,000. The two boards' legal representation was under budget by $149,000 in total. However, we did overspend $108,000 with various legal firms tied to pending litigation, and our legal hearing officers ended up being $97,000 over budget, which we've talked about all of those in the past quarters as well. The consulting services line item, we were 23.31% or $420,000 under budget, and we spent 13.35% less than the prior year. This is mostly related to the MMRO contract in that subcategory. So the dark gray line at the bottom of that page is our total personnel, and it was 9.71% or $3.9 million under budget overall, and 1.96% or $695,000 higher than the prior year. The operational category is kind of split between two pages. So if you want to start at the bottom of that next page, or on page 12, if you want to jump down a little further, there you go. Basically, we were 20.21% or $1.2 million under budget, and we spent 3.82% or $192,000 less than the prior year. Only one line item was significantly over budget, and that was our copier rental. It was over by $18,000 due to the Xerox contract being higher than the prior year contract with duplicator sales. And then there's a few line items I'm just going to touch on here that were under budget. So total computer equipment was under by $807,000, and that was due to not initiating all of the projects on the IT's list. Total travel was under by $104,000. Postage was under by $68,000. Telephone $49,000. Printing $49,000. EMARS usage $23,000, and office furniture and equipment $19,000. So the total admin spend for fiscal year 23 were 18.33% or $9.2 million under budget. This includes not having to utilize any of the $4.1 million of unallocated reserve. And if we take that reserve out of the admin budget, so basically the line right above that reserve, you have 11.09% under budget or $5.1 million. Overall, we spent $40.9 million, which was 1.24% or $500,000 higher than the prior year amount of $40.4 million. All of these admin costs, as you know, are allocated among the 5 pension plans based on the agreed upon hybrid percentage. That chart is broken out right there, and that's how the numbers fell at the end of the year. At the end of the year, we also have to make adjustments to that hybrid percentage based on specific charges that belong to either the C or the K plans, as well as separation expenses per statute that we are charging directly to the C plans due to the split of the boards. And we will do separation expense again in fiscal year 24. So that little chart at the bottom kind of shows you the beginning amount from the chart above, the adjustment for plan specific and separation costs, and then they net, the total is still 4984 down at the far right hand side, but those are the ins and outs of those lines and gives you the total admin expenses per plan at the end of fiscal year 20 through 23.
Mike, I know that last schedule that you just presented is confusing, but I appreciate you marking it out like that so that we have it for reference in case anyone has any questions. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Any questions on admin before we go to the invoice statements?
Just one quick question. And I don't expect you to be able to answer it, but I would like to see an itemized list of what those separation adjustment expenses are.
Yeah, they were presented in the last board meeting. They're $407,000 and or $402,707, and I have a detail of those. They are mostly legal. In fact, they are only legal expenses for separation. We quit tracking. Well, I take that back. They're legal expenses as well as salaries for John and Ed, being the 2 CEOs of the 2 plants. But yes, Mr. Cheatham, I can send you that immediately after this meeting.
All right.
Oh, yes, there is another chart on that page. I apologize. So this is the fees that Chase and earnings. That the first chart was how we had structured our accounts in the past. So it was kind of a net offsetting. We had earnings based on the balances in there, and then fees, and then the net earnings. So unfortunately, that $101,000 is money that we lost because of the structure of those accounts. As you saw, as we started transitioning the accounts to hard-earned interest, the net earnings were becoming negative. So we were trying to burn through a prior year balance of net earnings that Chase allowed us to cover through. We still didn't get through them. As we started converting the accounts to hard interest, you can see that we started earning interest on our accounts throughout the year. So $180,000 in hard earned interest, and that's missing the December amount of $25,000, which is not included on this schedule. Going forward, we should not have this. We will just get billed fees directly. We won't have an offset net earnings amount going forward for the Chase accounts. It'll just be fees and then hard-earned interest. So we'll redo this chart for this fiscal year and show you that better. And we won't have any lost potential earnings per se on the Chase accounts.
2 questions, Mike. The numbers presented in this report, are those in aggregate of both C and K money, or is that just the C portion? And
So
secondly, I see the interest earnings, obviously. What are the balances that we're maintaining there?
So the answer to your first question is this is in total. So the first chart is all 10 of our Chase accounts, the 5 pension and the 5 insurance. You see the breakout of the C and the K plans below of the interest being earned. And I could get some balances for JP Morgan by account for that bottom chart as well.
Any other questions? Okay, Mike.
Here's the outstanding invoices report by employer and type. So for invoices by type, the 6/30/23 amount of 3.259 million is 9% higher. 9% lower, or $308,000 less than the March amount of 3.567. The top 10 employers with open invoices, the Kentucky River Regional Jail, that's omitted employer. City of Covington is pension spiking and reinstatement. Kenton County Airport is pension spiking. The City of Fort Thomas is pension spiking, and Livingston County Fiscal Court is monthly reporting and health insurance reimbursement. I didn't get the reasons for the other 5, so that was just the first 5 in that top 10. The next part of this statement is the penalty invoices for C. And so for this quarter, we had 7 penalty invoices that were waived. It's a total of $8,000. We had 18 penalty invoices that were created for a total of $18,000. 23 penalty invoices were paid for a total of $212,000 for the quarter. And that's all I have on the invoice report. And I think that's all I have on the financials so far.
Any questions for Mike?
I'm sure Michael's still on the call. Have you got an update on where we stand as far as the issue of these balances that we're apparently not charging any kind of interest or penalty on?
Or was that, so I know we've worked with that with Mike, and Mike, I know you have the research that we've provided on that.
Yeah, I can give you an update. So we have a great legal memo that is clarifying what we can and cannot charge interest on and what needs to be clarified maybe by statute. So we are charging interest on pension spiking invoices. There's others that we think we can charge interest on, but we're still working through how to go about doing that and communicating that to the employers. We want it to be a well thought out, proved approach, and also give the employers plenty of notification that that's going to come to them. And I think before we do that, we're going to request board approval. So that is moving along, still not as quickly as we'd like, but we're trying to do it in the right way and also in a way that does not catch anyone by surprise.
That roughly $2 million that's in arrears, I didn't see that. Was that not counted in your accounts receivable anyway? How's that?
I believe all of these open invoices, if they're open, are in my accounts receivable.
Okay. I have to go back. What was it, page 5-ish?
So yeah, that pension amount is pretty large. The accounts receivable is 104 million for 23. That is all of the current invoices as well as anything that's past due related to pension, and then we'd have something similar for insurance.
What else makes up that accounts receivable number? Is that just money in transit? You know, as far as contributions, what? Or on securities trades, what's making up that receivable number?
So the two line items, the accounts receivable investments, that has to do specifically with investment trades. The accounts receivable that does not indicate investments, it is only employer invoices that are due on the 10th of each month. So there are some accruals in there that we make at the end of each month. Say, you know, on June 30, we're going to accrue what was due on June 30 and put that in there, plus anything that's outstanding from the prior months, including those outstanding invoices below. Not just the employer contributions, but what the employer is also submitting that was withheld as employee contributions related to their pension contribution as well.
Okay.
Is that helpful, Lyle?
It is that $2 million roughly. I mean, that seems to be a constant number out there. And if we're not charging any kind of penalties or interest on that, you know, if I'm an employer sitting out there, I've got no incentive to get that paid down. I can see why it's just sitting.
I will, if you jump back, Katie, down to that page on the invoice, on the penalty. So that penalty that gets charged is actually an interest. So that's the late reporting penalty. And if they fail to report on time, they'll either get charged a minimum of $1,000 and or the interest equivalent of that reporting penalty. So that's one. There's multiple items that, and you know, pension spiking, employer contribution, there's multiple reports that we can charge interest on and cannot charge interest on. And that's what the legal memo is detailing, and what we're trying to determine how to go about not only charging this penalty, which is actually an interest charge, but other allowable charges that we can do. But it's still a work in progress. And if you see on that particular page, that urban county agency, that's a pretty large charge. That's $113,000. So that's because it's a large dollar amount. And so that's the interest equivalent of not reporting on time for that particular agency. Same with the $74,000 that's down there on 531. But if you're a very small agency, you know, your interest is not going to be that big, but it's a minimum of $1,000.
And that's a systems issue that's been talked about before, correct? Their system, not ours.
Depends. The large ones, yes, I think they had an implementation issue that I think they've now got worked out.
This is Dewan. They are currently still working on that process to correct their payroll system. They're putting in a new payroll system, but they're still working on that as we speak. But they're trying to get them in right now. I think they've reported up to June right now, so they're trying to catch up on those reports. And if you don't mind, I just want to also speak, Mr. Cheatham, as far as those invoice totals. Several of those invoices on the top 10 list. Several of those are currently in litigation. So a large amount of that total invoice is in litigation right now. So I just want to comment on that as well.
Thank you, Dewan. I totally forgot to mention that.
And I can't say too much in this setting, but I just will say that the legal staff will be coming to the full C board at the September meeting on one of those matters. So.
So there's movement.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for Mike on his section of today's presentations? Thank you, Mike. As you can see, we find it interesting and we appreciate the information.
I find it interesting also, and I appreciate your questions. Thank you.
All right. Okay, now let's move on to the next section. We have both a hazardous duty request and an agency participation request. So, Mr. Surratt, will you walk us through these, please?
Yes, I will. Good afternoon. Today, we do have a total of 27 positions being requested for hazardous coverage. All 27 of these are police, fire, or EMT positions, so they definitely do qualify for hazardous duty. All the statutes have been included, and all the employers did submit the position questionnaires and job descriptions for all the positions. So KPPA has reviewed these positions and requested a CRS Finance Committee to approve these to be presented in front of the CRS Board of Trustees for final approval.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the hazardous duty coverage request as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. And having a first and second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, now for agency participation request.
Okay, we have two agencies that are wanting to join CERS, Reed Village Water District, and also the City of Hanson. They have provided both their board minutes, resolution to participate, budget, and also submitted their health insurance contract. In addition, they have satisfactorily completed the 3-month trial period of reporting to us with no issues. Therefore, KPPA requests that the CRS Finance Committee approve these two agencies to go in front of the CRS Board of Trustees for final approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the participation of Reed Village Water District and the City of Hanson into the CRS as presented?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Having a first and second, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Is there anything else, Juan?
No, that'd be it for me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Other financial updates. I have you up again, Mr. Lamb.
Yep, I'm back. Mr. Willer is participating in another meeting at this time, so I offered to go through his investment budget. He shows you what the investment budget was for fiscal year 23 there in the middle column. And then he's got the Q4 expenditures and the fiscal year to date for 23. The remaining amount was the amount that was under budget for him, as well as the percentage spent. And then he was kind enough to put the new 24 budget into his spreadsheet, which I did not do on the admin side. So that kind of gives you an idea of where you're at related to the investment expenses. The consulting services, we were 20% below budget, or $320,000. The legal and auditing services, we hit 98% of our spend, but we're still under budget. As you can see, we've increased that for fiscal year 24 significantly compared to fiscal year 23. And then we were way under budget on other contractual services. Most of that is due to the custodial fees of BNY Mellon. We had planned to take on some additional services that Mellon offers. but that did not come to fruition, and that's why we did not spend as much as we had budgeted related to Mellon. And that's the big driving force in that contractual services line item. Yeah. Any questions on that?
I do know that in crafting the 2024, the work group went over quite a few of these line items and asked for a review and further detail. So I do know that there was review and discussion, and I just wanted to comment that all of our answers were researched and given to us, and in some cases amendments made in coming up with this proposed 2024 budget. Do we have any discussion or questions for this item? All right, hearing none, I'd ask for, do we have any other issues before the committee today? Does anyone want to bring anything forward since it's a regular meeting? Well, hearing none, I think we want to thank everybody on screen, as well as those people that help prepare all this information, and appreciate everyone's contribution. And I will declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Great to see you. Thanks
Thanks, everybody.
All righty.